Hello, welcome to Soulprint Insights. I'm really glad you're here today. We're going to take a look at two different messages that were received from Masudius, and they kind of mesh together, if you will. So, one of the questions that I asked was, how big a role does karma actually play in the choices we make when we are creating our soul print? So the soul print, of course, is the blueprint or the plan that you have, that you put into place before you assume physical form on the planet. So before you're born, you kind of have this blueprint. Now, there are other videos that talk about the soul print and what it does and what its function is. So if you're new to this channel, first, thank you. And secondly, feel free to go back and look at some of those previous videos because you really can start at one and work your way all the way down through current, and there's sort of a flow and a story there. So I just wanted to understand how that works. How are our choices limited? Are they expanded? Do we have to take certain, do we have to absorb certain karmic lessons at certain times? So let me share with you the answer. It was kind of an interesting one. Here we go. So let us first define karma. Karma is the effect of a cause. For enlightenment, always, let us define enlightenment in the light, in the moment. And I've told you before that particular phrase, enlightenment means in the light, in the moment, came from the Conversation with God's series. I wish I had thought of it. It's beautiful. It says it all, but I didn't. So credit where credit is due. Here we go. Every action, thought, and deed are recorded on the soul. When there is an event that the soul believes or perceives is not in the light, it will then choose to correct or remember a more divine solution. We said the soul, not your consciousness, not God, not any other force. It's about your perceptions. When the soul is creating the soul print, it will identify experiences it wishes to learn from and grow from. To find another way in which to experience or react in certain circumstances. There are then many opportunities put into place along the soul's journey to have a similar or like occurrence, thereby giving the soul another chance to choose another way. Remember, the soul print is not rigid. It is always being adjusted and reviewed, which is why often karma seems to come back faster and faster. You wise and loving souls are remembering to remember faster and faster. You are choosing life experiences that are multi-layered with events and experiences happening in conversions. Many of you are wrapping up final or close to final lifetime experiences on the earth and are preparing for continual physical lifetime experiences on higher vibrational realities. Yes, there are many, many rooms in God's mansion. This is an ever-expanding, energy-filled universe. There are an infinite number of physical, soul experiences available on infinite levels of vibration. It is not possible for the vastness of the divine to be limited or confined to one little planet called Earth. This translates to many very motivated souls who are completing Earth reality experiences and are preparing to move forward with the soul's never-ending, always changing journey. The idea of karma itself seems to have taken on a more negative tone than is correct. Karma should not be viewed as a judgment or punishment. It's simply the resulting effect of an action, thought, or deed. A caution, so there is no misunderstanding. This does not mean becoming a victim or a doormat in an attempt to move forward. Indeed, more often than not, there is a need to learn to treat every soul, including yours, first, with the respect, grace, understanding, and enlightenment that are your divine inheritance, given with love and freedom to choose from your Creator. In that image were you created, and in that image, so you should treat yourself and others. We remain at this time Masudius. So, sometimes you're going through your life and you're thinking, why do I always end up with different people but in the same situation? Why doesn't it matter if I go from job to job to job, and yet I always end up dealing with that kind of a personality, or this event always seems to happen in all of my jobs? Well, because you keep choosing to have the experience come back around so that you have the opportunity to choose a better way. Relationships, that happens all the time, right? What you find out is that at the end of the day, you ended up marrying or being in a relationship with the same personality type, the same circumstances, until at one point, you recognize it and you react differently, and so that creates sort of that karmic experience being completed. The other thing that I want to mention, and this is really, really important, we can choose to simply not deal with a particular karmic situation, okay? And this is not like usually conscious, it's deeper than that. But let me give you an example. So, I'm in a marriage, I'm in a relationship, and I recognize at some point that I'm really just repeating the pattern with different people. But I look back over my life and I think to myself, you know what? I'm just sort of done with this. Like I'm done. I don't want to keep repeating this pattern. I really want to just move away from that area of my life and focus on something else, something that's maybe more interesting to me, more current, less painful. Okay? When that one of two things happens is either you simply just find that situation stops repeating, it stops coming around. And this is work that is done with the soul print when you travel to review your soul print, which usually happens in sleep, right, in dream time. So either you'll just find that something just stops. It stops coming around. And, for a lot of people, that is precipitated by the words, I am never getting into another blank again. All right? Um, or you're in that situation. You understand all of the lifetimes that it came from and how it built up and how it accumulated to this point in time that you're in and you're trying to cope with. And you just decide that you're just going to handle this in a way that you did not handle it in other times. And again, very often, it is really a matter of just simply stopping to recognize what the behavior or the action triggers, for good or for bad, but understanding sort of the ripple effects or the triggers. And you just decide to react differently to a situation, and then it stops coming around. But again, remember, those decisions are yours. They come from a deep, deep part of the soul in communion with your soul print. That's how those decisions get made. There are times in a life where, you know what, you just have been so scarred by a previous situation that has yet repeated itself that there's no point trying to continue to fix it in this lifetime, because the circumstances have sort of made you bitter or have made you really leery. And so sometimes it's a good thing to just say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to take that off the list for this lifetime. It's just not working for me, frankly. Now, the other thing that I want you to have kind of noticed about what they said was the fact that there are many, many souls on the planet. You'll especially find this with empaths, light workers, earth angels, people who are sort of in that vibrational energy to whatever degree they need to be in for the experience they're having. But a lot of us really, really are on one of our last lifetimes here on this particular planet. We are going to continue to have physical lifetimes, but the Earth is a very heavy and very dense planet. In some ways, it is sort of like elementary school of the universe, which is why when you look at the behavior that goes on Earth, you see the wars, the cruelty, the famine. We haven't figured out how to balance that so it's the best for everyone. And so at some point, we kind of have either returned to this heavy place because we are here to help, or we have finally gotten to the point where we're ready to just be done. When we make that conscious decision, particularly connecting to creating a soul print, what we try to do is tie off as many loose ends as we can in a lifetime. And so that is how come very often light workers and earth angels and empaths and spiritually evolved and psychics will say, oh my, this has been the hardest bloody life of my lifetimes. I'm sure it is. I can't believe all the horrible stuff that I have gone through, or all of the stuff that I've sort of found myself in and then pulled myself out and then kind of went on to the next thing. It just has been an exhausting life. And the reason for that is because it's like spring cleaning, okay? You are getting rid of everything that you don't want to drag forward into the next experience. So that's how come when you're kind of having literally a tough life, it's very often because you're trying to wrap everything up because you don't want to stay in elementary school. You want to move up and experience more of the wonders of the universe. So keep that in mind, because it's really important to remember, because often when things aren't going well or we're having a really difficult time, we wonder, our immediate reaction is, what did I do wrong? What am I being punished for? And in fact, by and large, this is something you have chosen because you wanted to resolve a lot of outstanding issues quickly, so you could simply just move on already. So now, one of the things that was said at the very end of the reading I just did about karma was they talked about treating yourself with the respect, grace, understanding, and enlightenment that is your divine inheritance. So this was interesting. I wanted to know, what exactly is a state of grace? And I got a really interesting answer, and I have to tell you, one that I sort of wasn't expecting. So I'm tacking these two together because I think that they complement each other. So here we go. This is sort of part 2, or the second reading. And this is literally responding to the question, what is the state of grace? The state of grace is a little used and often misunderstood state. Let us explain. This state was established at the beginning of creation, eons ago, when with intention, the Creator set forward to expand all that was into more of all that was. Grace is a state wherein there is a complete harmonic joining of your soul with that of the Creator. The God force does not pick and choose when or to whom grace is granted, but rather it is an environment created by the strong and focused desire to be in harmony with the divine. Grace is not granted, but achieved by intention. The state of grace is one of the emotional remembrances that you carry forward into birth and life. The memory comes from a state that is commonplace on the dimensions that are higher and less dense. It is a state of harmonic communication where your soul and the force are joined. It is that to which you go to come to an understanding, that space you move into to determine your life path. Your soul print and that environment which surrounds and gives support and love support and love when making decisions concerning your return to physical form. This is the energy force that surrounds you when you are also undergoing a life review. On your dimension, it is often referred to as with the grace of God or by the grace of God. So, honestly, how many times have we said or heard, by the grace of God, there goes I, right? And they're saying that's actually not kind of accurate. We've given it the wrong connotation, and frankly, we've given the power away. We've given our power to achieve that state away. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that. On your dimension, it is often referred to as with God's grace or by the grace of God. But this erroneously implies that God will choose whether or not you should have this state granted to you. And of course, that is not how it works. You decide and set the intention that grace is within you and with you. And so it is. As you ask, so it is given. Grace can and should be called forth when you require or desire to achieve a state of love and clarity to assist you with coming to an understanding of a situation. Grace is an energy force and can be utilized in the same way and manner that all of the other energy tools you have at your disposal. So grace is something that is another tool. Grace is not a forgiveness. Grace is a state where you, again, are in this harmonic communication with the divine. So therefore, it means it's literally something that you can choose to go to. You can choose to ascend to that place of grace where there is that very tight communication with the divine. Again, grace can and should be called forth when you require or desire to achieve a state of love and clarity to assist you with coming to understand a situation. Grace is an energy force and can be utilized in the same way and manner as all of the other energy tools you have at your disposal. As with all, intention sets the stage. Oftentimes, it will assist when moving into the state of grace to visualize or draw forward the color silver. The more attunement is achieved, that silver can become like pearlized, reflecting some of the most gentle and powerful colors in creation. It is further a state where your angels and guides will draw close. But remember, the communion is with your Creator, with the divine. God loves these opportunities to have these moments in time with His earth angels. And we are all her earth angels. And you should not hesitate to develop and embrace this state as an empowering and enriching experience to turn to as often as desired. Lights of love and gentle vibration are with you today and always. Move forward in the sure knowledge that we stand with you. We are at this time Masudius. Thank you for joining me today here at Soulprint Insights. Thank you for all of the support that you have given both of my Soulprint channels. Very, very grateful for it. And that's it. I will see you next Tuesday. Take care now. Don't forget, stand in your strength and stand in your light.